Yes, people, good morning, good afternoon. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome to Beyond the Ball, episode number 3. More than 3 episodes, but this is the third episode since I've named it Beyond the Ball. Well, obviously, me and Josh, welcome back. Josh, welcome back, bro. It's been
Thank you very much.
almost a week, but we finally get to talk. It's just this is some topics that it kind of might be a bit sensitive in football, might be a bit you know in the air. But listen, let's talk, bro. How you doing, man? How you doing? Let's get started.
I'm doing fine. I do apologise. We should have had a pause out by Tuesday, but
Don't
I, I've been busy and I'll be busy for the next week. Akavan's been busy as well, so we do apologise for that. But we are here. We're going to discuss unfair treatment of players and the horrendous use of VAR.
Thank you, Bossa Blue.
Thank
Finally, put his notification on. Message me when you go live. Listen, the notification bell's right there. Notification bell right there. Just click that notification bell. We live. We live. But yes, obviously, there's been some topics in football that we should discuss. Make sure you guys hit the
Big topic.
subscribing to the channel. Subscribe to my channel. Obviously, get to 3 to 45 subs. 2 subs needed. I think 3 subs needed or 2 subs. I'm not so sure, but let's get there, people. And obviously, Josh will be on the channel a lot. So obviously, if you want to see more Josh, he'll be here. He has his channel, but he hasn't posted anything yet. So I will. So once he does that, I'll post his title I'll post his link in the title. So make sure you guys check AN Sports out. And yeah, let's talk, bro. I mean, we've got. Let's start with I think the technology in football, VAR, goal line technology, and I think the offside technology that's just been invented.
Yeah. Well, Akavan. To be fair, we've spoken about VAR in great detail since it was introduced to English football in 2018 with the FA Cup and whatnot.
Yeah.
I mean, to be honest, compared to the previous 2 episodes, I don't think this one is going to be much of a debate. This is more like how can we improve the implementation of VAR. I've always stood by the fact that it's not the VAR isn't the problem. It's how it's being used. It's how it's being implemented. It's what the rules are for how it gets involved in the game. I think the way it's applied is completely wrong. I think the people using it are using it in completely the wrong way. That takes all the fun out of football. And
Agreed.
I think that is the general consensus for VAR. I mean, I don't know if you have any differing opinions on that, but for me personally, football
No,
has without a doubt been less of a spectacle
I do.
due to it. And I think that is because of the way it's been implemented.
I do have a different opinion on VAR. Not in terms of like the way it's being used, but in terms of the way referees use it. Obviously, not the way it's being used, but the way it's been introduced. Like you should have better the technology. Before we get a start, sorry, I forgot to say happy belated 4th of July to every single American watching. Happy 4th of July to all the Americans watching. Obviously, rest in peace to Yogo Jota as well and his brother. I did a video on that yesterday, but obviously, I'm not asking for likes and subscribers. Just go and check it out if you like. And yeah, sad what happened in football, but obviously, 4th of July, every single American celebrating. Wish you all the best. Wish you have a great, happy Independence,
Yeah.
Independence Day.
Happy Independence Day from a brick.
Over
So,
from
yeah.
across the pond, from
Yeah,
across the pond.
exactly.
But yeah, as I was saying, like I think the way VAR is being used, why don't you actually have the decisions made by the technology itself? Because instead of using referees, because referees just don't know how to they don't know how to watch replays back. In my opinion, they don't watch replays carefully enough. Too many angles, too many decisions, too much time taken, too much. Would you call it, too much? So many rules have been changed as well. Too many rules
I,
have been VAR as well.
I do agree. I think the rules for referees in general are too subjective, and that includes with
Yeah.
VAR. What I will say, if we allow the computers to come up with a decision, that is going to cause untold chaos. I can't lie.
Mm.
I can understand why they're making human decisions on it. Because at the end of the day, computers are still unreliable. I mean, they could come up with whatever conclusion they want to come up with. And at the end of the day, we're going to want to keep a hold on the expanding use of technology in society in general. So I do understand why referees come up with the final decision, but I feel like refereeing rules in general are too subjective. And with VAR, there are too many extraneous variables going on. It's like we talk about players' intentions, like did they play the ball intentionally or not? At the end of the day, we don't understand the thought process. We can infer what they wanted to do based on their actions, but at the end of the day, we don't know. We're not in the player's head. So I think this goes beyond VAR. I think refereeing rules in general are too vague. There's too many, and they're too inconsistent. I mean, prime example. I mean, the second yellow card for nudging the ball away. We know which club got fucked over by that twice, and no one else was. But in light of recent events, I'm not sticking up for this club in whatever way. But that's my point on VAR.
No, I agree. I think VAR has not been used properly. I just think the referees take too long to make their own decisions. Not only that, they also don't stop the clock. That wastes how much?
Yeah.
That wastes how much time in football?
It adds to the subjectivity. I mean, at the end of the day, you could argue however many minutes of extra time you want to put on.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no clear basis for what constitutes how much extra time you want to put on.
Think about this, right? The referee stops the game at 89th minute. You've got about, there's a projected 3 minutes of added time to be played, right? To hold on to a 1-0 win. You get other team gets a VAR check. It delays the game by another 5 minutes. You have 90 to 98 minutes, and if you can see that last minute goal, you've just been robbed of time. You've just been robbed of time. In my opinion, the clock needs to be stopped while they're checking VAR. When the referees, and obviously in NBA basketball, it's different clock for obviously. There's you have to go according to how they do it. Imagine going to the screen and looking at a decision to replay a screen. You have to stop the clock. Stop the clock. You're not gonna let the clock expire. You're not gonna let the clock expire. In the NFL, they do the same. The time runs down, but they stop the clock to check a decision if you challenge it. If you want to challenge it, if the manager wants to challenge a call, do it. If VAR says, okay, no, I'm not going to we're not going to review it. If a manager wants to check the VAR, they should be allowed to challenge maybe and stop the clock. In my opinion, because that takes a lot of time up, but at the same time, stop the clock when doing it. Stop the clock when checking VAR. Injuries, even that. You know what I mean?
I agree. For the sport, stopping the clock would probably be the best decision. I feel the reason why they continue with the old rules regarding letting the play go on, regarding the clock go on, is due to the fans. And this is one of the few occasions in which they do listen to the fans, because the fans have a set idea on when the game's going to end. Obviously, they have to get their trains, they have to get their transport away. They're going to have to leave at different times depending on what they're doing and where they're going. So I do feel that's why they haven't implemented that rule yet. Because as long as fans have an idea of when the play is going to stop after 90 minutes, give or take an extra 5-10 minutes, whatever, they can then leave. They can then plan to leave. I've got to admit, I wouldn't be opposed to the clock stopping, but at the same time, I can understand why it's not. So, I don't know. I feel that's the main reason why they haven't stopped the clock yet. That's me personally.
They don't have the exact accuracy to do it in football because the clock just goes on and on and on and on. There's no the ball doesn't actually stop when it goes out. For example, they have to think the ball goes out to then say, for example, oh, the ball's out. Oh, we're gonna stop the clock here. Then it's accuracy. They don't have the accuracy like that. The football pitch is big. The pitch is big. In basketball, it's not a massive court to play on, so you can tell if the ball goes out. You can see if the player steps out of bounds because there's 4 referees. There's at least 4 referees in like a small court. In terms of football, the pitch is big, so it's tougher to make a decision. I hear that, but at the same time, in defense, I'm not defending any of the referees for the decisions that they've made this season. It's been terrible. Some of the decisions that they've made this season, bro, I can't lie, bro.
It's been a low point.
So many goals have been scored, and they've not checked where the ball goes out. I can go back years where the offside. I'm not you, bro. Right now, I'm used to the new offside. I'm used to the new offside rule. I can't lie. I'm used to the new offside rule because let's be honest. Watching football from back then, you'd be like, oh, that's offside. No, but in today's day, it's onside. Why is it being changed? It's because of VAR. VAR is been implemented. That's why the rules have changed. It's not because the referees decided to change it. It's because VAR is being implemented. But also, I remember Lukaku was playing, or was attempted to play the ball against United a long time ago, and he didn't play the ball, and then Morales scored. Right? It was a 3-0 win. It was a 3-0 Everton win, which shouldn't have been 3-0, right? So I think that's why the offside rule was implemented in terms of like, if you attempt to play the ball to a guy who's offside, or if the ball goes to a guy that's in an offside position but he doesn't touch it, it's offside. That's why the rules have been changed. However, it's still been scrappy. The rules have been scrappy, and I think it should be changed because VAR is not going to help you. It's not going to help you if you keep making these decisions. It's not going to help you. You're not checking VAR properly. You're not allowing the people upstairs to make proper decisions. You're just pretending you're talking to them. In my opinion, they're pretending they're talking to the referees. I don't think they're actually talking to them. They're not actually talking to them. You know.
Well,
Sometimes
I feel.
it is doing it for
Carry on.
No.
Yeah, fair enough. I understand. I feel we got a good idea of how they actually communicate with each other with when they released the tapes of what was being said after the Spurs versus Liverpool debacle in September 2023. And it's clear that they talk to each other like they're mates. It doesn't feel like a professional environment, particularly.
Yeah.
That's the impression I got from them.
Defending their mates.
Yeah, defending. Obviously, they're going to defend each other because it is a tough job. Refereeing is a tough job, and with VAR, it's only tougher.
100%.
Without a shadow of a doubt. There's just, at the end of the day, what can you say? I'm trying to think back to what you said. You mentioned Lukaku and the offside rule being changed. I think a good case in point is the Marcus Rashford goal, the winner in the Manchester derby, January 2023, if I'm not wrong.
Was it Marcus Rashford? It was Bruno Fernandes that scored the
offside.
Was but Rashford was offside, though. Rashford was in an offside position. He attempted to play the ball. He didn't play. He didn't touch the ball. Bruno Fernandes, he then tried to shield the ball. He didn't try to protect the ball from allowing Cancelo or someone to defend, or John Stones. I couldn't remember who it was. Then Bruno Fernandes scored. And then they went to the referee saying Rashford didn't touch the ball. However, I do agree Rashford didn't touch the ball. Rashford was in an offside position and he attempted to play the ball in an offside position. You know what I'm trying to say? The guy was
so ultimately, it should have been disallowed based on the new rules.
So that's why the new rules have changed. That's why the rules have changed. Big up to Joshy J. Hope you're well, bro. Hope you're well, man. Make sure you guys subscribe to his channel as well, Joshy J. But anyways, back to that. I could go back. I'd say, do you know what? I'll mention this. The goal line technology is probably the best technology I think ever invented in football. Has to be the best technology ever, because so many times the footballs have crossed the line. So many times, how many incidents where the ball has crossed the line and you've not been given it? You have to flag it to see it from a far distance. You know what I'm trying to say? And finally, goal line technology is really improved. It's actually improved the game in terms of giving goals. Once the ball crosses the line, because I'll tell you right now, bro, if there was no goal line technology, I bet you right now, the Lacazette goal over. Oh, was it Lacazette? I don't remember who it was. Somebody scored against United in 2018 for Arsenal. Or was it Lacazette that scored the header? I don't remember who it was, right? Scored the header. I don't think the referees would have given it if it wasn't for offside. It wasn't for the technology. They wouldn't have given it, right? Because nobody saw the ball go in. Nobody expected the ball to go in. Ronaldo versus Atletico Madrid. Nobody thought the ball went in. The VAR, the technology said, okay, we're gonna give the goal because the ball crossed the line. That's why I think goal line technology is the best technology to ever been invented in football. Because VAR in La Liga they don't have it anymore. La Liga they removed it, and they've taken away goals, and also not only that, right? You go back and look at VAR. They don't even check the goal properly as well. They can't check the goal properly. Offside technology. Offside. Goal line technology helps with the ball crossing the line. So I also ask a question: why don't they use that for if the ball goes out of play?
Well, I feel with the ball going out of play, it's not. Well, obviously, scoring a goal that has massive ramifications for the rest of the game. Deciding whether the ball goes out of play for a throw-in, that isn't seen as a great moment in the game, if you know what I mean. So I don't feel like that they don't want to control every single aspect of the game, and I understand that
Yeah.
you want the game to flow. But we have seen instances where there have been questions whether the ball has gone out or not, and there hasn't been some sort of technology to decipher that. And those goals don't come around often. Obviously, we can think of a few, but yet again, I'm not mentioning this club because of what's come out recently.
Mm.
And I understand that completely. It's just I don't think you should, because at the end of the day, we do want the game to flow as much as possible. VAR has stopped the game from flowing, and we don't need it to stop anymore. Then again, there are cases where you can argue why wasn't there technology for that.
Mm.
So I do see what you mean.
This should have been done years ago, in my opinion. I think Sir Alex Ferguson came out and said something about offside, no technology of goal line technology being invented.
I
Because
feel that was, Roy Carroll. You were about to mention, yeah, Carroll.
that ball that Roy Carroll missed, he crossed the line, bro.
Yeah, I think Spurs got robbed of a goal at Old Trafford, if I'm not
They
wrong.
did.
Yeah.
They did
And then
wrong
obviously
one.
when you have other cases like Lampard in 2010 against Germany.
I know. I remember. I was watching that game as well. I was watching that game. Don't forget Ronaldo's goal versus What'd you call? I forgot who was against. Ronaldo's goal versus one of the Portugal games, and he threw that captain's armband down. And it sold. And
Was
they
it?
sold it.
I think it was Israel or Liechtenstein, wasn't it? One of the two.
I think it was.
Was
It
it?
was. I think it was Liechtenstein. I think
It
it's
was
Liechtenstein.
Liechtenstein, yeah.
Because don't forget, bro, the ball crossed the line, right? And then Ronaldo's appealing. How many? And literally showed on the replay, the ball crossed the line. How do you not give that? You know, it's crazy because imagine Portugal would have got knocked out of the World Cup because of that. Imagine they would have got knocked out of the qualifiers for the World Cup because of that. Imagine they didn't qualify for the World Cup. They'd be looking back at that goal. And they had to play a playoffs as well. So if that goal counted, they would have never played the playoffs because they would have added 2 extra points and they would have qualified through the group stage. But anyways, they qualified, right? But this is my point. Inconsistency is a massive, massive thing in football now. It's a massive thing beyond in referees. It's a massive thing in institution of football because so many decisions made by the institutions, Premier League, it's unfair.
Well, inconsistency is inevitable with referees. I mean, at the end of the day, refereeing is such a hard job. I mean, inconsistencies, that's definite. Without a shadow of a doubt, that's going to be the case. But with VAR, I think the inconsistencies have been expanded on. And obviously not in a good way, because there's so much stuff that's left to interpretation. One referee, he'd give you a straight yellow card for that. The other referee would give you a red. The other one would let the play continue. There's no set in stone rules altogether. And you can give the referees the benefit of the doubt, but at the end of the day, as soon as VAR is implemented, in theory, that's meant to help the referees. Therefore, the referees have got more of a spotlight on them because mistakes should be a minimum now, in theory.
Yeah.
But the whole point of VAR is to stop referees making mistakes. And they haven't done that. If anything, it's got worse. Which is why I think VAR is such a controversial topic. I do say we do need VAR because, there's been so many instances in football where teams have been robbed or been unfairly awarded, etc., etc. But at the end of the day, it isn't implemented right. It isn't embedded into the game in the right way. And I think that's something that the large majority of football fans can agree on. And I do feel sorry for referees in a way because it is such a tough job and so many things are left up to interpretation. You have to give them the benefit of the doubt. But there is the frustration with VAR there because they shouldn't be making as many mistakes as they are now.
100%. I don't forget, right? When it first came in, I was like, you know what? It's actually doing quite well. I'll be honest. VAR was doing well at the start. I was like, it's fair. It's fair. But you go back and look at all the penalty shouts that could have been given. What is a penalty nowadays, bro? They check for hand. It hits your hand. Nah, it's unlucky. It's no penalty. You can play football with your hands now. What? I can play football with my hands and get away with it now.
Exactly.
What's a penalty nowadays, bro? They don't even give penalties anymore.
That's it. It's not set in stone. That's the thing. It's not set in stone. There's no set in stone rules that dictate that instance of play, no matter what the intention is, it's wrong.
Mhm.
You know,
I-
and I think that's what European football gets right. But it doesn't
Yeah.
matter about the intention because you can't guess the player's intention. At the end of the day, you have to look at it at face value, like
Mm.
what's happened and how do you adequately deal with it. And I think that's where European referees get that spot on. And obviously, there's the own troubles there. I remember Marino's handball at the San Siro. Never shouldn't be a handball based on Premier League rules and whatnot and what we're accustomed to. But at the end of the day, in Europe, that is a handball.
Yeah.
Same with Lewis Skelly at the Parc des Princes. Normally, usually in the Prem, you'd get away with it, not in the Champions League. And it might be unfair, it might not be what we're used to, but at the end of the day, those are the harsh rules that they have
Yeah.
stuck with and that we will continue to
And,
have. So
and that's why you wonder why they're not English referees in the bigger competitions.
because they're shit.
Exactly. No, you're not wrong. It's true. But then you also go back at, for example, the lockdown when Jurgen Klopp started complaining about United getting all these penalties, and now we've hardly got any penalties. We hardly get any penalties nowadays. And this is not an excuse that I'm using, by the way. This is not an excuse at all. What I'm trying to say is that ever since managers have come out and complained about penalties being given in the Prem, there's hardly been penalties given, and it's been so inconsistent ever since. Teams are getting robbed of penalty decisions, penalty shouts. Handballs are no longer handballs. What, like, for example, if I slap the ball up, oh, it's a handball. Okay, it hits my hand, so of course it's a handball. You know what I'm trying to say? Unnatural position. What's an unnatural position, bro? What's an unnatural position? What's the referee trying to do?
What do they perceive as an unnatural position? Even the fans don't know. So it's just like, what on earth is going on?
Keep
I mean,
on
I
losing.
understand what Jurgen Klopp was saying with United because I remember when you played Villa at Villa Park. If I'm not wrong, Bruno Fernandes stomped on an
Yeah,
Aston Villa player's leg, and United got awarded a penalty for it.
and I remember the Brighton game as well when we should have.
Oh, that was bullshit.
Nah, but to be fair with you, they were already checking VAR before the final whistle, so that's why the referee gave it. That's why the referee gave it, because they were already checking the VAR before the final whistle. And
Yeah, fair
I
enough.
should have waited for I think the referee should have waited for VAR to conclude before blowing the whistle. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah,
Instead of blowing the whistle, should have waited for the penalty to be given or confirmed, because the VAR said they were checking the penalty, but then the referee didn't. The referee blew the final whistle. Like, you're checking VAR currently, so you should wait. And that's why there's a lack of communication between the referees and upstairs. There's a lack of communication. It's a lack of, oh, I'm gonna support my mate because he made something wrong. No, that's not how you do it. You correct them. Don't make them look bad. You're making them look bad by not giving them the correct decision. You're making them look even worse by defending them. You should be helping them and correcting them. That's how it should be, bro. You know what I mean?
without a shadow of a doubt. I don't. To be honest, Akavin, I think with VAR it's kind of a mute point. We all know the issues with it. We all know the problems. We can
Yeah.
agree or disagree with how we implement it. But at the end of the day, we all agree that it's made football less fun to watch as a spectacle, as an entertainment industry. And
Maybe.
obviously, it's just not consistent.
Because
There's too much interpretation. There's not enough set in stone rules for me.
I prefer VAR only because I find the rules more fair with VAR there. Unfortunately, within England, the referees are not going to give you the right decisions all the time. Whereas for the rest of the world, wherever I'm watching football, right, I can see VAR being fair because if, for example, something really bad happens, for this first instance, if a team scores an offside goal in the Champions League final, and there's no VAR to back that up, and that's the winning goal, you'll be saying robbed. At least there's VAR to sort of correct that. At least sort of help it. But now the referees just don't use VAR as a tool. They're just treating it as like some replay as to help them, oh, I got this one wrong. My apologies. Isn't clear. Is a clear and obvious error? Why are they asking these questions clear and obvious? Of course it's clear and obvious. You made an error.
Yeah.
It is clear and obvious you've made an error. We're literally seeing it right from our own eyes. We're literally watching football with our own eyes. We're seeing it in front of the screen. It is a wrong decision. It's clear and obvious you made the wrong decision. So why are you asking the question to the upstairs? Is it a clear and obvious? The clear upstairs should be telling you whether it's not clear as obvious. It should be you.
it's alarming how many referees can't come to a conclusion after watching the VAR screen, which then result in referees at Stockley Park having to come up with a decision themselves. I mean, that
Yeah.
in itself is just. I mean, that shows you in and of itself how flawed the system is, I suppose.
Mm.
I mean, you're basically proving that you you get the impression that these referees, because they've been called to the monitor, they feel they have to switch the decision. Hardly any referees have stuck by their decision after seeing the screen. So it feels like it's more of an obligation to take it to those at the higher up rather than keep the responsibility on the field.
Mm.
And I have to keep reiterating these referees, they do have such a tough job. But with VAR, it should be easier. But we're seeing more mistakes than ever. Last season in the Premier League was absolutely disgusting in terms of refereeing standards. That was appalling. That was shocking. That's
Mm. Yeah.
arguably the worst season we've ever had in terms of like the rate of refereeing decisions we had that were
Like
terrible.
this past season, yeah. You think?
Yeah, 24-25.
I hear it. I agree with you because I watched how many United games and how many games where I'm asking for. Okay, I'll go back. I can go back to 2 seasons ago. Do you remember that United 0-0 versus Newcastle game at Old Trafford?
Yes, before the World Cup.
Ronaldo's goal was a clear goal. The referee didn't even spot that. The
Did he
guy
knock it off? Yeah.
the keeper played the ball already. He played the ball already. The defender wasn't aware of the situation. He played the ball and scored. Sancho should have had 2 penalties. Ronaldo could have had 1 penalty. Newcastle should have had a penalty. You know how poor the referee was that day? It was completely diabolical. Completely I don't understand how. How do you watch the game and clearly not tell me that those were not penalties and that was not a goal? I can go on and on and on, bro. I could go back time and time again. Casemiro's red card versus Southampton. That was never ever a red card, bro. He touched the ball. He got the ball first. The first contact that they look at is the ball, not the man. I'm sorry, the follow through does not count no more. It does no longer count. It's a red card if he doesn't touch the ball. Fair. That's a red card. I agree. However, his foot scrapes the ball first.
I think it does count with endangering the other player as well. I mean, the follow through, that's going to be the main talking point if the opposition player does get injured in the end. So I do see where they're coming from with that. I haven't seen that Casemiro red since it first happened, so I can't comment too cleanly on that. It's just, I mean, we can all choose our clubs and pick out how many poor refereeing decisions have gone against us. And barring one or two clubs, it's at the same rate. We've all been fucked over.
Crystal Palace. I think you mean Crystal Palace. Boss of Blue. That was not Man City. Casemiro's never got a red card versus Man City. It's been Crystal Palace and what's it called? It was Crystal Palace and
Southampton.
Southampton. The Southampton one was terrible. That was never a red card. If he played versus Southampton, we're slapping them 3-4-0. Right?
I thought he got sent off because he put his hand on the Southampton player's neck.
The game against Palace, Will Hughes. And Will Hughes something to Fred as well. So he should have been sent off. They didn't look at that. This is why I say referees, when you look at VAR decisions, you look at everything in slow-mo. Slow motion helps it helps make everything worse. Because you're not watching it in real time. If you watch the way the decision is made in real time, I'm sorry. Like you're not giving the accurate decision here. If I watch something in real time and I see it's a really bad challenge, okay. See it in slow-mo, fair enough. But you can't always tell everything in slow motion. Slow motion does not always tell you the full picture. You need to watch everything in real time. Yes, slow motion might help you reveal the full incident, but you have to watch it in real time as well.
I think you do have to give the players the benefit of the doubt. At the end of the day, we don't want to see players getting sent off. I mean, that ruins the game as a whole.
It does.
So I do think you do need to give players the benefit of the doubt there. Having said that, I do think that slow motion replays are crucial because at the end of the day, you do need to see what's happened. You do need to see the aftermath of it. But I also agree with you with the real time instant. At the end of the day, the game is being played in real time. Like players are acting on instinction rather than full out thought. So you do have to take into account the fact that they're not conscious of what they're doing entirely. And we could get into all sorts of sciencey bullshit, but I won't. No worries.
Is there any more incidents you want to bring up, or is there any more like technologies that you think?
Well, listen, I could rant about refereeing decisions that have gone against Arsenal all day long, but at the end of the day, they don't deserve anything. So I won't point it out. At the top of my head, I can't think of any other clubs, any major instance that have ballsed up.
I can go back and look at Barcelona last season. They got robbed of 2 goals or a goal, and they got robbed of like a goal line technology versus Real Madrid or something like that. The ball crossed the line versus Real Madrid, or not only that, but the offside technology messed up. That was like the first time. Actually, no, there was 2 incidents where the offside technology messed up. One was Lautaro Martinez's goal versus Saudi Arabia in the World Cup. That one should have stood, right? And I can go back to last year or the year before that. Last was it Barcelona that got robbed off a goal, made an error that it was actually Lewandowski's foot that was onside, not offside. It was a defender's foot that was playing Lewandowski on. It wasn't Lewandowski's foot. So they made a mistake in that. So I can be like, do you know what, the offside technology? Fair enough. It's a good technology. It makes rare bad decisions. But La Liga needs to bring back the goal line technology. They need to bring it back. I'm sorry. They need to.
Why did they get rid of it?
I'm not so sure why. I don't know why, but I think they need to bring it back. They need to bring it back 100%. I'm sorry. If the fact that you don't even have the technology there is embarrassing itself. But yeah, that brings us to our next topic: unfair treatment of players. Same with referees. The referees don't treat players right. Unfair treatment of players. We can carry on to that. But make sure you guys hitting the like button on your way in and subbing to the channel. Let's get to 345 subs. 3 subs away, people. Come on. And yeah, like target is about 20 subs. Come on, people. Like target 20. And 345 subs in today. And yeah, let's move on to the next topic, bro. Unfair treatment of players.
Now, I feel referees are human. Right, I want to start off with that. Referees are human.
Yeah.
There are going to be people in any industry you work in that you don't like. At the end of the day, you go into any sort of employment in your adult life, there's going to be people that you don't like. I can understand that referees might not like certain clubs because of, who they grew up supporting or whatever. I can understand referees won't like certain players because of previous experiences with them. But at the end of the day, I think there is a clear case of certain players being unfairly treated by referees. I feel there is a case of certain players being favourably treated by referees. And that extends to the clubs as well. That extends to, who they play for. If you want me to give an example, I feel Casemiro is unfairly targeted. I think Granit Xhaka was unfairly targeted. I think Granit Xhaka was unfairly targeted by referees. I can think of a fair few more that have been unfairly targeted. On the contrary, I can think of the likes of. I feel John McGinn gets away with a lot with referees. I'm not too sure why. This is early in the morning in the UK. My brain isn't entirely up to speed, but there are plenty of players that get away with it easily. Plenty of players, and I'm mainly looking at Man City players. But anyway.
Nah, it wasn't Man City. It was Casemiro wasn't sent off. Nobody was sent off. It was the Casemiro never got a red card versus Man City this time here. And I can tell you the last time that he played, Grealish scored that 1-0. Then last year was Haaland who scored the penalty. Then last year was a 0-0. The 1-0 at Old when Man City went 1-0 up at Old Trafford, that was Jack Grealish, right? The penalty that was given was by Rasmus Højlund, and trust me, there was never a penalty. The one last year, the year before last year. Nobody got red carded for that. It was just a bad call by the referee. That was not a penalty. It wasn't even looking at the guy, and Rodri acted like he got pulled. Completely nothing. So that's why.
Rodri, that's a prime example. Joe Linton. Remember when was it Kepa or Neto? Beginning of last season, literally grabbed him by the neck and swung him to the ground. Referee didn't do anything. Joe Linton gets away with a lot. See, I think this counts as unfair because other players won't get that benefit of the doubt. Could you imagine Casemiro grabbing like Kepa by the neck and throwing him to the ground?
Casemiro's getting sent off, bro.
Exactly.
The amount of yellow cards the guy got the year before last year as well. The year
I think
before the amount
I
of
think the
yellow
likes of sorry.
No, that's cool. That's all I said.
Oh, fair enough. No, I feel like I can look at Kai Havertz, for example. Do you remember that challenge at St James's Park? 1-0
No.
loss, ball going out of play, but the goal stood.
Yeah.
Yeah. Majority of other players would not get away with that whatsoever. I understand the trailing leg argument, but the majority of players would not get away with that. And in that same game, Bruno Guimaraes elbowing Jorginho in the head. Not many players will get away with that in the Prem. Only a select few. And I feel like there is a subconscious bias with referees towards certain players and by extension the clubs they play for. But I do understand that is human nature. You know, you go into your job in real life and you're going to not like people. That's life. Like whether it's because they're arrogant or you're just not in a good mood, who knows? I understand why referees won't like certain players. I understand why referees would like other players. But at the end of the day, it's not right. Everyone deserves to be on a level playing field.
Yeah.
And if you have that inherent bias, it's going to cause friction within the game.
Equal treatment, and the referees that support each club should not be allowed to referee a club that they support. Like
no, they don't. That's not a.
They shouldn't.
That's true. I mean, Jared Gillett, he supports Liverpool, but he doesn't do any Liverpool games. I don't think he should do any games that affect Liverpool, like in the title race or whatever, but he does.
Michael Oliver supports Newcastle. He had to referee the Carabao Cup final versus United, and luckily we won the game. So yeah.
Unluckily.
But anyways, any last thoughts on this? And you want to move on to the unfair treatment of players?
I thought we were on the unfair treatment of players.
No, that was poor use of technology in football.
Oh, fair enough.
Talking about, like, for example, the Arsenal incident that came out today. I know you want to talk about the Arsenal incident today, and yeah.
If you want, well, I mean,
unfair treatment of players, like the payment of players and the treatment of the clubs give to some certain players over the others.
Yeah, that is a deep topic. I just want to say I put on our group chat, like, my mum supports Arsenal and watches them every week. My sister supports Arsenal and watches them every week. You know, my other female family members support Arsenal and watch them every week. If he is found guilty, especially if he's found guilty, it's bad enough that he's been charged. If he's found guilty, I'm sorry, but this club is just it's disgusting. The fact that you chose to protect him because he was a good player for us over what was right is just bad. And we've seen it before with Manchester United. They desperately wanted Greenwood to come back. Only because of the massive backlash that they would have got, they decided to. Did you release some of his contracts? I'm not too sure.
No, what happened was he signed. I think he signed a new deal just so we could let him go. I think I'm not so sure. But also not only that, like, I think a lot of fans didn't want him back. A lot of the majority they said
it's a massive backlash.
Massive backlash, and United let him go. And United had to hide the subject for a while, and Greenwood was suspended. Luckily, the club suspended him. However, still, you cannot be hiding stuff like this. The club should not be hiding these information. If information is, if there's concrete evidence, like Cam said, to be fair to you, Cam was right on this one. There's not enough concrete evidence for the clubs to mention it. It's not right for the club to call it out. However, if there is enough concrete evidence, if there is evidence, that if there's enough evidence to back what you're saying, fair enough. It's already there for you. The evidence is there. The proof's there. You can mention it.
But I feel sorry.
Forget about it. You know what I'm trying to say? There's not enough investigation. But sorry, go on.
No, I feel with Greenwood, you had solid evidence there.
Yeah.
The fact was the charges were dropped by his girlfriend. So it doesn't matter whether he was guilty or not. At the end of the day, he wouldn't have been punished. because she dropped the charges.
Mm-hmm.
With this Thomas Partey thing, the evidence isn't as concrete. I mean, it was the worst kept secret in football. Since it came out in the summer of 2022, you knew who it was. You know, living in Hertfordshire, Barnet, whatever. I just wanted to say I want to move on because it is genuinely disgusting what this club have done, regardless of if he's found guilty or not. But the fact that, you know, Arsenal women won the Champions League, and it almost feels like their efforts are in vain because the club have proved that they prioritise getting results on the pitch, no matter what the character of the players are, over protecting the women inside the organisation.
Yeah.
And it's just disgusting. I feel sorry for the Arsenal women. I feel sorry for my mother and my sister that have watched this
And all the female,
probable rapist over the last 3 years
yeah,
playing in
and
our
all,
midfield. It's disgusting.
and all female Arsenal fans as well.
Exactly. And female football fans in general that have watched their team play against Arsenal and watched him on the pitch. Even if he's not guilty, the fact that he's been charged by 3 different women, that is bad. That is really bad. Even if he isn't found guilty, the fact that he's even in that situation,
Yeah,
not a good character. Not a
especially
good character.
even though like Benjamin Mendy, right? Sorry, you want to say anything first?
No. Carry on with.
I just want to say Benjamin Mendy. You knew what happened to Benjamin Mendy. Guy got accused by many women, and unfortunately for Benjamin Mendy, his career has ended because of false accusations. Now, look, I'm not here to say he did it or allegedly he did not do it. What I'm trying to say is be careful of your circle as well, because you get yourself involved in some things, your career can end. Your career could be over because it's all about money. Sometimes all about money for some people, you know, and you get yourself in the wrong circle, you could be in trouble. And that's what I'm not here trying to defend Benjamin Mendy, but if allegedly he didn't do it, if allegedly he didn't, you know, he obviously didn't do what he did, his career has just been ended because of false accusations. Now if you look at Thomas Partey, yes, we can say allegedly he did do what he did, right? What if he didn't do it? What if the truth came out and said he didn't actually do it? What if the 100% proof what if this proof came out and said, oh, he didn't do it? He's just been falsely accused, falsely, you know, his career, his reputation is over. Reputation is you need to protect your reputation as a footballer.
Defamation.
Yeah, 100%. Reputation is 100%. It needs to be 100% protected. Your agents need to do a better job. You need the club to investigate properly. The police need to do it properly instead of actually trying to, you know, fall for the money trap. Because again, once you pay someone a lot of money, it could go in a different direction. You know
What I found most disgusting was the fact that he was put in a prison. He was arrested, presumably in a prison cell, as I alluded to when we were talking about journalism in the first episode of this podcast.
Yeah.
And the fact he was on the pitch because he was released on bail. I'm not an expert on UK law, even though I learn about it as part of my journalism degree. But innocence until proven guilty, contempt of court and whatnot, that applies to the law court. That doesn't refer to employment. So I don't know. At this present moment in time, I don't think it was the right decision to allow a player who was released on bail to play for this club. And no matter if he's found guilty or not, it is a disgusting stain on this club that they were aware throughout this entire time. They had the perfect opportunity to part ways and make themselves clear that they were not complicit, because his contract ended on the 30th. But it was well documented. It was well documented that Arteta, for example, was really, really keen on getting him to sign that deal. We spent the whole of June trying to negotiate a deal for him, and suddenly, wage demands were an issue. Is that right?
No.
Is that actually right? Was it the wage demands, or were Arsenal officials informed by the Metropolitan Police that he was going to get charged?
Trying to hide the
Therefore,
story.
you cut your losses.
Mm.
At the end of the day, we don't know, but it's a feasible possibility.
It's
And
not-
I just feel the fact that he was released on bail and still playing for this fucking club on this pitch in front of millions of people worldwide, misplaced priorities. Massively, massively misplaced.
Sometimes, players miss games because of family incident, or family situations back home, emergency. Cristiano Ronaldo, I can go back. Cristiano Ronaldo at Man United was poorly treated by the club because he had to go back and see his sick daughter. His daughter was sick. He had to go back and take her to hospital. Sometimes things matter more than family, more than football, which is family, right? And Ronaldo went back to see his daughter, reported back to the club before the season started, and I got told to train alone. For what? For going to see his sick daughter? Is that how football's running now? And Aubameyang as well at Arsenal for going back to see his mother, who was not well, but got fined by the club.
Yeah, Aubameyang, being late for training or a match because his mother was ill. Ozil speaking about the Muslim genocide in China. The Kit Man getting sacked on Christmas Eve last year. The day before Christmas Day, the birth of Christ, because he spoke up in favour of Palestine. I'm sorry, Arsenal, absolute bollocks. Hasn't been a classy club since '92. I'm sorry, or since Wenger left at least.
No matter what your side is on politics, nobody should be fired because of political opinion. Like at the end of the day, it's your opinion. Nobody should be fired, or because if the club's defending a certain side, I ain't gonna mention the side. If the club's defending, then I don't know, because then that's on the club. The club should know better that a person has an opinion, has a social media platform, wants to call it out. Fair enough, let them do it.
It's a double standard as well.
They shouldn't get fined for an opinion. That's what social media is for.
It's a double standard as well, because you see Zinchenko, for example, with Arsenal. He's freely able to talk about the war in Ukraine and what's happening in Gaza and whatnot.
Yeah.
But Ozil wasn't. The Kit Man wasn't. Aubameyang got bombed for visiting a sick mother. It's just misplaced priorities.
Yep.
Absolutely disgusting. It's just, honestly, it's disgusting, man. This club. And it's not only Arsenal as well. We've seen it before. And we'll see it afterwards.
And don't forget, Brandon Williams as well. You remember Brandon Williams? The guy just got charged. He just got charged.
Former Norwich player as well.
Yep. And the club hid it. It's been a long time, and clubs have been hiding situations like this. If a person has been suspended, mention who's been suspended. We already know who's been suspended. Mention it.
This is it, Akavin. You've got to take in the UK court, the UK law. Defamation, contempt of court, and whatnot. You got to think about the prejudice of the player, especially if they are found not guilty, like Benjamin Mendy and whatnot, or if the cases are dropped, like with Greenwood. That's why Partey was officially. Everyone knew it was Thomas Partey. It was the worst kept secret in football, but he wasn't officially named by any journalists until yesterday, because that's when he was officially charged by the court, I think.
Fabrizio Romano yesterday.
Yeah, exactly. See, journalists aren't. See, you're risking your career as a journalist if you do that, because you could get sued by Partey, and feasibly he could win. Because especially if the court case isn't up yet, especially if the case is still running, he could sue you for defamation and get lots of money out of you. So you're risking your time as a journalist as well. At the end of the day, we all knew it was Thomas Partey, but he just legally couldn't be named.
Because he's contracted to a club. That's what we want.
I feel there's an element of that. I mean, he's playing for one of the most popular teams in England. does that influence the court proceedings? Maybe it shouldn't, but does it?
Maybe the clubs paid the court to not mention or to not investigate the player because the player is so important to the club. The importance of a player to the club is because there's no transfer window, so the player can't. So the player can't be replaced. And you watch, as you mentioned to me before, watch Zubimendi get announced on Monday. It's going to happen. Yeah. I know you said it. I know this is your words, and it will happen. I agree, it will happen. It's going to happen. You watch him get announced on Monday because of all this. And United had to sell Mason Greenwood, right? Because of the backlash they got from the fans online. They saw the backlash on Twitter, right? And you've seen that most of the female United fans said bin him, even if his girlfriend, who will now be his wife, right? Drop the charges. Watch that all. You've seen it all, bro. You've seen it all. All the evidence was there. The evidence came. When evidence came, I was disgusted. I myself was disgusted that United employed a player like that, and there was rumors of him being being a trouble as well. Because don't forget the Iceland incident with Phil Foden as well. Don't forget that. Don't forget the Iceland incident. Don't forget the other incidents as well. I think United tried to hide the information. The United tried to hide the incident, and I find it very disgusting.
Every club tries to hide it.
Yes, we suspended him, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You've hid the situation for 2 years. For 2 years, you've hid the situation. So
at the end of the day, Mason Greenwood was an important asset to Manchester United. Thomas Partey was an important asset to Arsenal. At the end of the day, they're assets and they will be treated as such. At the end of the day, from a sporting perspective, you want to keep them because it gives you a better chance of winning. But you have to override the sporting aspects of it in order to think about what's right, what's legally right, what's morally right. But at the end of the day, these are billionaire businesses. They're not going to be morally correct, are they? No man ever got rich being honest. No man ever got rich, being kind. That's the reality.
At the end of the day, you have to be careful with the circle you're in. Sometimes false accusations can be possible, especially with Ronaldo. Don't forget, he got falsely accused of the incident that happened in America.
Las Vegas, wasn't it?
Yeah, and the charges got dropped.
So that doesn't mean he's innocent. It's the same as Greenwood. But at the end of the day, if the charges are dropped legally, you can't do anything else on it. So that's it, and that's why I'm saying, like, until Partey is proven innocent or guilty, either way, I'm still disgusted with how Arsenal treated the situation. Because he shouldn't have been playing. In all honesty, if you're out on bail, you shouldn't be on the football pitch. That is a privilege so few people get to have, and the fact that he managed to do it while potentially being such a wrong, that shouldn't be allowed.
I just don't like the way they handle situations. They don't have, and they need to do better. They need to do better with this, with hiding the information, hiding situations like this. Because if a player has been released on bail and is still playing, that's just really bad. At the end of the day, Ronaldo was never arrested for what he did. So there was no bail, so he could continue playing. It was just a case going on for it. It was just a case. There was just charges going on against him. But if there's no concrete evidence, then there's no point arresting the guy. Look at Mason Greenwood. There was clear evidence of what he did. Clear evidence. The amount of blood that was on Harriet, obviously Harriet Robinson, the person who was dating. You could clearly see the evidence there. That's evidence. Thomas Partey, there was some evidence there. At the end of the day, if a player's been arrested, if a player's been arrested and it's been playing on bail before, you need to hide. You need to make sure that the player gets punished behind the scenes. You don't need to mention who got. Just try, be careful. I'm trying to say.
Exactly. I understand what you mean. It's like
Yeah.
even if he, it's like if even if he is, even if he is proven innocent, the fact that he was playing while on bail is disgusting enough from the club. And I understand at the end of the day, it is innocent until proven guilty. As it stands, Thomas Partey is innocent. But if he's out on bail, you can't play him, man. That's just not right. At the end of the
Yeah.
day, innocence until proven guilty, that doesn't apply to employment status, as far as I'm aware, in
I remember.
UK.
I remember. I remember he was back training one time in Manchester. I think it was outside training. He got spotted, and I'm like, I think he got arrested again as well one time for playing for being released. For breaking, was it bail rules, something like that. I think he broke. I think he
Who was
broke.
this?
Mason Greenwood got arrested twice because he broke the bail rules or whatever it was. And genuinely, like, look, we've all seen the news. We all know what happened already. The club just needs to suspend them. United did what they did, suspend Greenwood, fair enough. But to want to bring him back after all the evidence stacked against him, I'm sorry, terrible. And I'm glad we shipped him off. I do not want a player like Greenwood at the club. I do not want a player like him at my football club. And I'm glad we shipped him off. And I'm sorry, yeah. Just a disclaimer. I'm sorry if me and Josh spoke something against personal, yeah. If you don't like what we said, it's calm. At the end of the day, we're just out here sharing our opinions on the unfair treatment of players. If you don't like what we said, it's okay. You have your opinion, just keep it respectful. You know what I'm trying to say. But big up to you, Josh, man. Big up to you, bro.
Thank you very much. Sorry for the dog barking. I'll keep
No,
muted.
it's all good, bro. I have my cousins screaming outside. You know what I mean? My cousins are out here screaming everything, but everything's okay. But anyways, people, we're gonna wrap it up here. We're gonna make sure you guys hit the like button on your way out and sub to the channel. Get to 345 subs by the end of today's video, but that'll be great. Josh, I think I'll see you next week on the show if you're free. I think next week. I think Tuesday.
I'm on holiday, but I can make time for it. It'll be a bit of a stretch, but hopefully we'll be able to come up.
And vacation.
Yeah, well, not vacation. It's still in England. Sorry about the dog again.
No,
It's still in England, but it's across the country, so
okay.
quite a trip. Yeah.
No worries. But let me know if you can. But anyway, we're out. Make sure you guys one sub to the channel and get us 345 subs. Get this video to 20 likes and make sure you guys leave your suggestions in the chat. Leave your comments in the chat. Whether you agree with our opinions or not, keep it respectful as always. You know, we're not here to challenge anyone. We're not here to hate on anyone. We're out here to enjoy football talk with everyone. So make sure you guys obviously do that as well. And obviously, yeah, subscribe, like, and share. We're out, people. Take care. Peace.